Hi everyone, welcome to Great Minds by MDC. I am Marcia,
I am Lina.
and we are so happy to be here again with you to connect you with inspired leaders, effective thinkers, so we can share ideas, new mindsets, and that way we can learn, get inspired, and grow together.
For today's show, we have a great guest, an entrepreneur, economist, project manager, and coder who is passionate about philosophy and maths and ended up working in the drawing space and also has a huge knowledge in modern technologies such as blockchain, crypto, bitcoins, and more. Welcome, Walter. We are so happy to have you here.
Hi everyone, thanks so much for having me.
Hi Walter, welcome, nice to see you. How are you today?
I'm doing really well. How about you guys?
Very good, thank
Good,
you.
very happy to have you here. So to start, we'd like to thank you first of all to be here, and we would like to know more about yourself, your background, your story. So please tell us more about that.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm a Costa Rican Polish American. My mom is Costa Rican and my dad is Polish. And I went to Cornell University through 2012 and 2016, where I studied economics. I was trying to decide between math, philosophy, and economics, and couldn't decide which one I wanted. But I decided on economics because I figured it was a combination of philosophy and math. But I like to say that if you study economics, you end up getting no philosophy and fake math. So unfortunately, didn't turn out as well as I hoped. But since then, I considered pursuing a PhD route, but once a friend of mine, this must have been about 2014, he called me and said, "Hey, have you heard about Bitcoin?" And that changed everything for me. So we started a crypto business together, and then I was like, I don't want to be an academic, I want to be an entrepreneur. So yeah, then I spent about 2.5 years working as head of software development for Bitcoin Depot. And then also since then, I've just been working as a contractor and entrepreneur in the software dev space, worked in the drone space for a couple companies, Birdstop, Certify, building my own stuff and working on some stuff. And I'm sure we'll talk about that. So that's kind of
Well, that's great. So, well, you tell us a bit. Like you're starting the bitcoins, but tell us more about it. Like, how long ago did you start? Like, what happened with that friend that you start with? Like, tell us more about that part of your life.
Yeah. Well, it was really exciting. It was like, so he called me, said, "Have you heard of Bitcoin?" And I said, "No." He said, "Search it on Google." So I searched Bitcoin and all this stuff started coming up, and we were looking at these charts, and I was like, "I don't even understand what this is. What is it?" And he said, "It's a digital currency." And so we just started learning more about it. And he said, "I think I have a business opportunity." Basically, at the time, this was back 2014, there weren't any US exchanges. The only way to buy Bitcoins was to send an international wire to one of the exchanges that you didn't even know if you could trust. And then you buy Bitcoins from there. And it was just very complicated. And so we found a way of buying Bitcoins in bulk, at a discounted rate, and then reselling it on a platform called Local Bitcoins. And through there, we had to learn, primarily about compliance. So we had to learn, we have to have a federal money service business license. We have to have state licenses for every state we operate in, and so on and so forth. And so the original business model was a little bit complicated and what didn't work out. But my friend Brandon Mintz is his name. He's the CEO of Bitcoin Depot. And he said, I'm going to buy a Bitcoin ATM and we're going to put it somewhere, and that way we can sell Bitcoins that way. And I was like, okay, it seems like a good idea, but I guess let's give it a try. And fast forward 5 years, and he's the largest Bitcoin ATM company in the world. He now has a team of over 20 compliance officers and related personnel. And the whole team, I think, is like 80 people now. I left when there was like 25 or 30. I just wanted to pursue the drone industry instead of crypto, but I had a great time, and we've kept our friendship going for over these years. And he actually, I just saw on LinkedIn, he just won the University of Georgia Bulldog 100 Award for
Wow.
yeah, for as an alumni. He just won it for being a successful entrepreneur. So pretty proud of him.
Well, yeah. That's very interesting, like, and how the story like changed, right? Like you started like not knowing what to do, and now you have like an ATM, like the main ATM, I would say network.
Yeah.
About Bitcoin. Yeah, very nice. And yeah, for me, like all this world is like mind blowing. It's very interesting. So, what do you think is like the purpose or the future of these new ways, of disruptive ways to invest or exchange like currency without even a bank or the cash? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's overall it's been very positive. I'd say the biggest area where it's having innovation is in the underbanked community, the unbanked and underbanked. So people who don't even have banks or don't have as much access as other people, they have an opportunity to invest in crypto and to have a way of sending money easily and affordably to other countries. It's especially great for countries with conflict. So for example, Venezuela or other countries, it's a powerful way of allowing to send money there. But of course it's a double-edged sword, and there are problems with illegal activities. So it's very important to have a robust compliance in place. And so that's where my experience at Bitcoin Depot really came in. I worked a lot on the compliance. I built some of the statistical analysis tools for detecting suspicious activity, and like I said, Bitcoin Depot is probably leading the industry in compliance. They've got 20 people in their compliance department, and they're constantly working with regulators to make sure that they're operating as properly as they can.
Well, actually, it's one of the things that I would like to ask now, because like as Marcia says, like a huge world, and we really have to dig on a lot.
Yeah.
But as you said, like there is a lot of opportunities, but also there is a lot of cons about this topic. So could you tell us more like those opportunities and those problems that could happen when you try to invest in this environment?
Yeah, so I'd say there's lots of opportunities, but there's also risks for any investor. So if you're looking to invest in crypto directly, like if you just want to buy Bitcoins or buy some Ethereum, I would say that has lower risk, just investing directly in the cryptos, because you can at least diversify your assets and perhaps gain above market return. So I'd say that's kind of like the safest way to do it, is investing directly in the cryptos. But in terms of like if you're investing in businesses, if you're a venture capitalist or you're in that space and you want to actually purchase a business, or if you're looking, should I invest in Coinbase or Bitcoin Depot, or various companies, you really have to look at what I'd say fundamentally it comes down to the compliance. How good is their compliance department? How good is their fraud detection? That's the fundamental, most important element, because even if you're making a lot of money, if you're not operating compliantly, then that money doesn't mean anything. You could be shut down any day. And that's why, I'm proud to work with Bitcoin Depot, who's really gone above and beyond with compliance. And I think, so for example, one thing that I think is really different about Bitcoin Depot is that since it's a physical ATM, there's a camera on the ATM, and that way, and there's cameras inside every gas station or convenience store that these are located in. So it actually has really high compliance, because you can match the customers with gas station cameras if you need to, or with the ATM cameras matching with their IDs. So it's the ATM space is actually like one of the most compliant, in my opinion. So I think that's a good opportunity. That's a good space to be investing in. But overall, going back to your question of pros and cons, I think it just comes down to how well the company you're looking at investing in, how compliant they are. That's probably the fundamental variable. Okay.
Yeah, and how do you, because it's very interesting, like once you mentioned before, like the starter of this, and how do you visualize like the future of this, like where is this leading us to, and also it is somehow related to metaverse universe that is like going on right now.
Yeah, well, the meta is a whole separate thing, or I mean, it's not separate, it's related, but it's a complicated topic in and of itself. But I would say in terms of the future of crypto, I think it comes down to technology and regulation. So how is it going to be regulated? Are there going to be changing laws that are stricter, or how are they going to balance the innovation that this sector has with the obvious regulatory needs? But then on the technology side, I'd say there's a lot of promise in just making more powerful applications that are decentralized. Crypto, or Bitcoin in particular, more or less invented the blockchain, but it kind of just started as just a currency or just a commodity. Like, there wasn't anything special with what you can do with crypto other than send transactions. Then Ethereum came along, and Ethereum is was built more to create decentralized applications on its network. So there's all sorts of decentralized applications that are really, really early on. And I think I mentioned something I proposed, Pitcoin. We can talk about that later, but I think that's a good example of like the kind of innovation that'll happen in the coming years. It'll be a lot of like decentralized cloud applications, machine learning, just connecting like the crypto space with these powerful compute platforms, and kind of like one example would be competing with AWS, GCP, Azure. So these are just big cloud providers. I could see a business model where smaller entrepreneurs can build a small server farm in their basement, and they could, sell that compute power on their own platform, and other people could build their own server farm. So you basically have like a decentralized AWS type platform. So that's like one example type of innovation.
I think this word is like really evolving really fast, and there is coming a lot of stuff. So actually, you tell us at the beginning that you are working in the drone industry. Mm-hmm. We would like to know more about it. Like, what is it? Like, how do you see like this world of drone coming in the following of the years?
Yeah, so I'm really excited about the drone space. Drones are a very, very powerful tool. I mean, they're literally all they are is a flying camera, right? And so just imagine 500 years ago, if you could have a flying camera flying over your fields, flying over your construction sites, like that, that level of technology would just be mind-boggling. So that's where we are today, but people have kind of just accepted it and think, we always have fancy technology, so there's nothing special. But really, with drones, it comes the opportunity to 3D model the entire Earth at extremely high resolution, 1 centimeter resolution. You can, model any construction site, any farm, any mine. You can make sure the resources are being used more efficiently, and on and on. So there's countless applications, and I think one big area, well, there's two areas: the hardware and the software. So the hardware is obviously the drones themselves. I think the cost of drones has fallen so dramatically that it's for $1,000 you can buy an incredible drone that's professional grade. So the cost will continue dropping, but one big area where I think there will be innovation is the drone in a box. So this is basically a fully automated solution where the drone comes in a box. The box protects it from the weather, and then when you want to fly it, the box opens up and the drone flies around, and then it comes back to the box and sends all the images. So basically that's where I think the future will be in 5 years. There'll be less pilots and more automated solutions. So that's on the hardware side. And then on the software side, I think costs will also continue to drop. Although in the software space, the costs haven't fallen as much as they should. So that's actually one of the opportunities I'm pursuing with Flyer Mapper. So that's FLIER Mapper. That's .com. That's a website I'm working on. And basically our business model is upload images and convert those into 3D models. So I kind of view it as like the oil of the drone industry. Yeah. It's kind of like the commodity that powers the industry, because ultimately processing images into 3D models is a very compute intensive process. It's a very resource intensive process. And so that's where we think if we can lower the prices in that area, there'll be a lot more potential for innovation from the savings of that.
This is very, we are talking about like lots of innovations, and I think there's going to be like a huge opportunity for everyone to keep digging in this industry. It's curious because we have talked about crypto and drones like industry. So for you, like what those things have in common?
Yeah, that's a great question. There are definitely some similarities and some differences. They both actually started like in a very similar time, late 2000s. So I think, crypto 2008, drones really became popular with the rise of cell phones, surprisingly. And I think they're both actually related to the rise of cell phones, because basically with cell phones, you have a massive demand for lithium batteries, and that demand for batteries is what powered the innovation that happened in the drone space, because you need very powerful batteries to hold a drone in the air so that it can fly. And so without the demand for billions of cell phones across the earth, we never would have had the innovation that came in the drone space. And the same is true of Bitcoin. Bitcoin could have never been invented without the internet. So you need a robust internet in the first place before Bitcoin can come in with a decentralized solution. So I think there are similarities in how they got started. They're both kind of maturing but early industries. But obviously the specifics are different, but I think there is an underlying relation, and you can see that through what I proposed, which is called PICT coin. So PICT coin. It's short for picture coin. So basically my proposal is just simply that it would be a decentralized coin that works off of converting 2D images into 3D models. So it would kind of conjoin the two industries, crypto and drones. And it's a little complicated to explain. I haven't even fully understood it myself, even though I proposed it. But basically, the idea is that with Bitcoin, let's say with Bitcoin, the algorithms processing the transactions aren't actually doing anything useful other than processing the transactions, if that makes sense. There's these massive computers that are just used to process transactions for Bitcoin. Whereas with my proposal, the actual network would be processing images into 3D models. So you would actually have a real world use case for what the network is producing. Instead of it just producing, verifying transactions, it's actually doing a useful task of converting images into 3D models. So that's why I say I think in the future, more of these types of applications are gonna come up, where you're basically, where the resources being utilized by the network are actually powering real world applications as opposed to just cryptographic, hashing verification processes.
Wow.
Yeah, mind blowing. Yeah.
I think it's really great, and it leads me to think about what you say. And we were talking before about like the metaverse. Like you're trying to put like just images and making a 3D models and making everything like most real as possible. So what do you think? Like, do you think that the proposal that you have for Bitcoins is gonna be related to this new world that it's supposed to be coming?
Yeah. I should know more about the meta, but in the metaverse, but like it's so new that like even as much as I know about the technology space, I was kind of reading up on it just a couple weeks ago for like the first time. So I guess on the simple level, on the surface level, it's just kind of integrating augmented reality and virtual reality into existing like social media platforms and stuff. But I think it was a smart business decision by Facebook to change their name to Meta, just because it allows them to kind of like rebrand, since Facebook isn't as popular as it used to be, and they can kind of focus more on growing the technology side of things. But I don't know. I think from a societal level, we're kind of reaching a tipping point of competing worldviews, in the sense that a lot of people are very much against social media nowadays. It used to be, when it first came out, it was this incredible new technology, but we've seen that there are a lot of negatives with it. And so I think it'll be a balancing act of how much we want to move in the direction of virtual reality versus physical reality, because the world is becoming more and more virtual. I mean, we are talking over a video channel, but at the same time, let's fast forward 50 years in the future. Like, do we want a world where everyone just lives at home and we put on our goggles and we just talk to each other in our virtual world?
There is a movie about that, like I remember, and you have the goggles and you also have like a suit of it, and you can like sense everyone. So for me, it's not like something that I would love to become.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's kind of where I feel like the meta is like, I think it'll be cool, and I think it'll be very cool on the business to business side. So like AR and virtual reality, I think could have real world business applications. For example, manufacturing, or a car mechanic. They could have some cool glasses that show them like this part moves here, and you can manipulate it with your hands and kind of see how things work in 3D. I think that's phenomenal. I think that will really, there's a lot of opportunities in the AR space for business to business. I think business to consumer, where you're actually just giving it to regular people, I think there's going to be Snapchat and Facebook, and they're going to do that, but I don't think that that's fundamentally creating great value, because I think you're just kind of making people even more and more addicted to their technology. So yeah, kind of my perspective.
Yeah, I agree with you. And before, like, you were talking about the Bitcoin, and there is like this NFT marketplace, right?
Yeah.
Like where this is related to all the blockchain technology and so on. So what do you think it is the future going to be of this on this NFT market, for instance? Like with all these virtual or
Yeah.
bitcoins, and yeah.
Yeah, I'm not an expert in NFTs for sure. Definitely kind of just a novice. The value behind it is really cool. You know, it's basically just a non-fungible token. So it's a way of verifying ownership of some sort of digital asset. So it can be a video or a picture, documents. So I think there's going to be a lot of use cases on the business to business side. I think there will also be some use cases on the consumer side, especially for artists. So, you know, musicians, artists, I think it's a great opportunity for them. However, I will say, if you look at a lot of these NFTs, I mean, sometimes people are spending, you know, $10 million to buy like some weird NFT, or $5 million, and I view that as a bubble. Like, I just don't see that as being, you know, I think the stock market is in a bubble. I think the you know, crypto might be in a bit of a bubble. NFTs are in a bubble. You know, that doesn't mean I know when the bubble will pop or anything, but I feel like it's just we're still early, and I think we'll have a bubble. It'll kind of, you know, equilibrate, and then we'll reach the next level of maturity and innovation.
Yeah, there's definitely like a lot of discussion to be like, you know, like talk. And yeah, definitely we will need to have another discussion with you to go deeper on this topic.
Yeah,
I think, Walter, we can say that thank you for this. I think it was much for this huge information, and surely we have to dig on of it because we really are really interested in this topic. So thank you very much for giving us like a hint of this work, and we hope that we can have you here like in another session with us. Like, thank you very much for this space, Walter.
Yeah, definitely. And I encourage anyone who's interested in these topics. I also have a blog. It's medium.com/@themoraleconomist, THEMORAL economist. So yeah, that's kind of my other persona, is the moral economist. So I write a lot of stuff about technology and artificial intelligence and crypto and drones. So yeah, I understand it was kind of hard to compress this information into easy to, you know, easy for the listener. But I think, you know, if people are more interested, they can kind of check out my blog and get some more information from there.
Definitely worth to watch it.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys.
Very much,
it was great getting to talk to you. I love what you guys are doing here, and yeah, I'd love to be on the show again in maybe 6 months or a year, and we can kind of see how things have evolved.
For sure.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for it.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
Bye. Thank you for everything.
Talk to you guys soon.
Bye.
Bye.